Okay, I guess we can start the discussion now. So, yes, uh, in the beginning of the class, I want to share one fact with you that I'm actually attending the class uh, from hospital. So there can be some noise in the background, but I hope that we will get to participate in the classroom without much interruption. So don't worry, we are starting now, and yes, first of all, we are actually recapping on what we have, shared in the last class. So regarding last class, if you remember that we were discussing on what are the fundamentals of e-commerce, and we started with defining what is e-commerce and how it is different from e-business. And then we discussed on, the technological building blocks that actually enables an e-commerce platform. And when we talked about the building blocks, we talked about two-dimensional building blocks. One in connectivity dimension, where we basically connect the buyers and sellers and other parties involved in the in e-commerce transaction with internet, and for the interfacing building block, where we basically provide the platform for the parties to interact. And there we have options like website, apps, or in metaverse world, we can have AR and VR machines. So that's where we basically provide the technology to get an e-commerce transaction work smoothly. But then we know that in interfacing dimension, we have multiple layers. I mean, we can have surface layer where, on search engines, or even if we explore on different app stores, we get to see platforms which are visible. But then we have also deep web where they are mainly uh, away from the public visibility. So basically on search engines or on other app stores, they are not visible. And for good reasons, because the public is not their target audience. So that's why they keep them away from the public view. But then we have also dark web, which is dark for either of the reasons. It can be illegal uh, transactions happening there, or it can be unethical transactions. So, and we have also related it to the UIU context. We said that at UIU, we have 200 and 250 websites, but then only 3, 4 websites that we actually see visible when we explore on UIU. But then we have a lot of websites which is for operational purpose of UIU, but not public as a target audience. So most of them are not visible on search engines. But then we know some students of UIU, they use some groups or some other platforms, which actually they expect that the admin or the faculty members of UIU, they don't know about, because they kind of play the role of a dark web in UIU context. And we talked about the major trends in e-commerce, business, like, we have created three-dimensionality: the business trend, the technology trend, and the societal trend. So this is how we can actually track on the macro environment of e-commerce. Now, in second topic, in the last class discussion, we talked about the unique features. I mean, what are the potentials that e-commerce technology offer for an e-business. So we talked about the internet and the interfaces that actually give a lot of scope for businesses to utilize the potential and develop their business success. And here we have already shared the Canadian student's presentation, where he explained the 8 unique features that a business can optimize with utilizing the e-commerce technology. And there he explained the implications of those features, and also applications in context of Dell Canada, Reebok Canada, and TJX Canada. But then in our classroom, we discussed that how we can actually do the same interpretation and compare the applications of these potentials in context of Bangladesh. And here we agreed on three different companies which we can explore. Food Panda, I mean Panda Mart, you have already suggested. Then we also talked about Rockamari and Children.com. Then, if you remember that we went for detailed discussion about how these features can actually lead to business success, what are the implications for each of these features, and then we discussed the individual companies example to identify the benefits that we can realize from these features. So today we are starting with a new topic, which is about uh, the types of e-commerce, as well as how we can distinguish different e-commerce business models. And here we are going to cover two chapters. So we will cover some pages from chapter 1 and also some pages from chapter 2. So starting with chapter 1, if you see that we have a list of uh, e-commerce business models like B2C, B2B, C2C, in-commerce, social e-commerce, and local e-commerce. But the interesting thing is that this list is not collectively exhaustive, which means that, I mean, not all e-commerce business models are listed here. So we cannot say that, this is all about e-commerce business model. Whatever we see or whatever is happening around us, this is all, is in this list. So basically, what we have tried in this list is that to identify the most popular e-commerce business models or the most popular types that we identify happening around us. Now, to put it in a more identifiable dimension, so to help us understand that how we actually work on these business models and how do we identify them. Let's put it in a matrix. So here in this matrix, you see that we have the seller dimension in the row side, and we have the buyer dimension in the column side. Now, if you remember the matrix algebra, so you know that we for each cell in this matrix, like here you can see the cells in the matrix. For each cell, we first identify the row coordinate, and then we identify the column coordinate. So, so on the row side, we have the seller, and we have to identify that what kind of seller we are talking about or we are dealing with. And then on the buyer side, we have to identify that what kind of buyer is working here. Now, interestingly, when we talk about seller and buyer types, so in both cases, we have the two identical dimensions. One is right. Okay, so as we have been discussing that, regarding the buyer and seller dimensions, we have identical dimensions in both contexts, because for buyer case and seller case, we see that there can be two different type of parties. There can be an individual buyer or individual seller, they are participating in the transaction, or there can be an organizational buyer or organizational seller participating in the transaction. But interestingly, some sellers who can be, or even buyers, who can be organization, but as big as like a government. So they can be a special type of organization, which is very big, like a government. And for that, sometimes we don't use B for that organization. We rather use a special code, which is G. So by G, when we say G to G, we mean actually government to government. And sometimes in some places they don't use the term individuals. They rather call them as peer. So they don't use C to C. They rather say P to P. So these are the actually the operational definition of the terms. Now let's see how do we put them in context. So as you understand that in metric algebra, we put the sellers, we put the row first, and then we go for the column. So here you see that the row wise, we have to identify that what is the seller like. So in the organizational category, so we have the seller like a B, because B stands for organization. So here we write B2 or and B2. Uh, And then for the seller, where the seller is an individual type, then we write C2, C2. So, but then if we also consider the buyer type wise, then you see that the whole transaction now gets a shape. Now you see that when both the seller and buyer are organization types or institutional, then the transaction gets a name like B2B transaction. And when both the seller and buyer are, individuals, like seller is an individual and selling to any other individual buyer, then the transaction gets a name called C2C. Now here you have some examples for transactions. Here you see for B2C. Now, when you actually purchase books or stationaries from Rockомary, so what is your status as a buyer? Are you an organization or are you an individual?
Sir, individual and customer.
The customer is not the concern here. It is about as a buyer, what is your type? Are you an organization or you are an individual?
So
So what
individual.
is your type? So as an individual, what would be your code? Is it C or B?
Sir, C.
Okay.
স্যার
Now
বুঝতে
think
পারলাম
about the
না
seller. Yeah, we are coming back to that. Don't worry. So now, as a seller, I mean, here Rockомary stands as a seller. And what is Rockomary's status? Is it an organization or individual?
Organization.
So, as an organization, what would be Rockomary's code? Would it be a C or B?
Sir,
What do you think?
B2C.
No, no, not just focus on the seller's type. So, as a seller, what would be Rockomary's code? Would it be B or C?
It's a B. B.
Why B? Why B? Because it's an organization type or an institutional seller, not individual seller. So for that reason, so when we count the seller first and then we count the buyer, then the transaction will be like B2C. Now let's take the another transaction. Let's take Bcash. Now when you take the service from Bcash, so as a service provider, what is the Bcash type? Is it a B or C?
B.
B.
And as a service recipient who is taking service from Bkash, what is your type? Are you a B or C?
C.
C
Yes. So then it becomes a B2C. Now let's take that. Let's turn the table. Now we think about not your transaction with Bkash, rather your university's transaction. So when UIU is having transaction with Bkash, here who is the service provider? Is it a B or C?
B.
But who is the buyer here also? Is it a
B.
B or C?
Again
Because
B.
here both the seller is a B and the buyer is a B. So that's where Shubhana is performing today quite well. I mean, she's getting, but I hope that others will also join in the conversation. So yes, we are talking about Bkash when it executes the transaction with you. It is a what? B2C or B2B? B2C. Unite. But then when Bkash is doing the transaction with UIU, then it becomes
It's B2B.
exactly. And what happens about Rockomary? When you are purchasing book from Rockomary, then it is a.
B2C.
But then when your university is purchasing books for their library from Rockomary, then it
B2B.
gets
B2B.
exactly. Yes, exactly. Now, do we have a businessman in our class, like somebody who is selling online and doing some online business? Then just shout out or raise your hand.
Yes, sir.
I guess
Yes, sir.
Mr. Akif. So, Mr. Akif, what do you sell, or what do what is your business?
Sir, it's a seasonal business. I try to sell shemai from Bogura just
That's
before
interesting.
during the Ramadan time.
That's interesting. That's interesting because this is first time in my class I have got somebody selling. Yeah, I mean I have seen pastry and other things, but that's an interesting idea. Mr. Junaid also raised hand. So, Mr. Junaid, what is your item?
স্যার আমি নেটফ্লিক্স অ্যামাজন প্রাইম হইচই চরকি বা এই টাইপের যে ওটিটি সাবস্ক্রিপশন প্ল্যাটফর্ম গুলো আছে ওগুলোর
Oh, I see. I see. That's
সাবস্ক্রিপশন
another
সেল
thing.
করি
Yeah,
আর
that is
আরেকটা
also. Yes.
আরেকটা হচ্ছে স্যার পারফিউমের ডিক্যান্টের যে বিজনেসটা আছে ওটা কারেন্টলি আমি করতেছি এই দুইটা বিজনেস
That's
চলতেছে
interesting. So now, Mr. Akib, where do you sell your items? I mean, what is your platform?
Sir,
Okay.
It's not totally online. I have some fixed customers, my friends, family, basically.
But do you have any online window, like somebody, if they want to connect with you, then they can go online and contact you? Is that possible?
Yes, that it is possible. My
And
profile
where are you
link,
having it?
so it's in my profile,
Uh,
Facebook profile, sir.
so is that your Facebook profile? Okay.
Yes, a
And
personal
for
Facebook
Mr.
profile.
Abu Junaid, how do you sell? I mean, what is your platform?
স্যার অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমার নেটফ্লিক্স বা ওটিটি প্ল্যাটফর্মের যেটা আছে ওটা আগে অনেক পেজ ছিল, ফেসবুক পেজ, ইনস্টাগ্রাম পেজ ছিল, তো
I see.
আপাতত
So,
পেজটা ব্যান হয়ে গেছে ফর সাম রিজন।
so
তো
then how do you
এখন
manage your business?
হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ বেসডই আছে
Okay,
এখন।
okay, okay.
আর
Still, it's a social media platform. Okay.
yes sir, yes.
You know that in social media, we have two kinds of social media. One is called open social media and the other one is closed social media. So WhatsApp actually falls in that closed social media group and Facebook is like open social media group. Now, talking about the business that, Mr. Junaid and Mr. Akif is doing, class, what do you think? What is their status? Are they B or C as a seller?
Sir, they're
Mr.
C.
Jabir Abdullah? Mr. Jabir Abdullah, what is your take? Uh, I'm actually trying to get some diverse opinion from the class. Shubharna has been participating a lot. Suraya, do you have an opinion? What is Mr. Akif and Junaid doing? What is their status as a seller? Are they B or C?
Sir, C.
Why C?
Sir, they're also buying their products from someone else. They're not producing it.
No. Who do you buy from? That is not the issue. The issue is that what is
They're
your status as
individually
a
selling the
business
product.
organization? So if they are individuals or if you treat them as individuals, then actually you call them a C. So as a seller, what do you think? Are they institutions or they are individuals?
Individuals.
Okay, exactly for that reason we call them C. Now, who do they sell to, Mr. Junaid and Mr. Akif? What do you think? Do they sell to institutions or individuals? What do you think?
Individuals.
Institution.
So do you understand? Do you understand that where do we fall in these categories? So, Mr. Akif and Junaid, do they fall in B2C, B2B, or C2B?
It's B2C.
Exactly. Sometimes even in exams, my questions will not have the right answer, and you have to write none of them. But yes, in this case, basically it is C2C. So yeah. Now, for example, Mr. Akif, his Shamai has become very popular. So UIU actually ordered his Shamai for Eid get together. So what will happen now when UIU is purchasing from Mr. Akif? What would be the transaction like? Would it be a C2C or C2B?
The
B2B.
C2B.
C2B, sir.
Exactly. I have some other examples to share with you, but I guess our class has given enough examples, so I can move on. Now, if you remember Mr. Akif and Junaid, what was their initial platform or primary platform?
The social
It
media.
was Facebook, if you remember, social media or Facebook. So when actually we do our transactions on social media as a buyer and seller, then we can give it a special name and we call it as social e-commerce. Yes, it is e-commerce, but then since it is happening on social media, and from Mr. Junaid's case, you know that he started with Facebook, but now he's continuing it with WhatsApp. So it can be closed social media or it can be open social media. But since it is happening on social media network, then we give it a special name. And you know that Facebook is a very big, platform in social media. So for Facebook, we have got another name. So within social media, we have got another name. We call it as F-commerce. Now, can you tell me if Mr. Akif is doing it on Instagram, then can we give it a special name for that?
I don't think so, because that's also open social media.
No, just think about if Facebook can become e-commerce, then who knows? Somebody can one day start calling e-commerce for Instagram.
Yes.
But as you
Yes, so
understand
that can happen.
these categories are not universal and not forever. You can always improvise and coin a new term or make a new term. Now let's move on to the next category, which we call as M-commerce. Now, just let's focus on our own circumstance. That almost all of us have mobile wallet or mobile financial services. Now, can you actually use any device where you do not have a SIM, and can you send money from that device to another device or another account? Is it possible? For
No, sir.
example, your mobile phone has Bikash apps, but it doesn't have any SIM. Can you send money from that
No, sir.
device?
No, sir.
And that is the essence of m-commerce. When we talk about m-commerce, it is not necessarily mobile. It is basically a SIM required commerce. That means an e-commerce transaction which requires you to keep a SIM against your account. So, for example, you are ordering uh, a ride on Uber or on Pathao. Can you order the ride from the laptop or desktop? Is it possible? Is it actually possible? But do they have SIM? No, sir. But remember, it is not about which device is used. But can you order Uber or Pathao if you do not have any account with a SIM number? Can you order it?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
So do you understand? It is not about the device you use, even though it is called mobile, but it does not mean a mobile device. It means that it's a device and account which is actually a SIM backed or SIM supported. So when we actually run an e-commerce transaction where it requires a SIM supported or SIM backed device, then we call it as an m-commerce. But for local e-commerce, it is interesting. Here we have two dimensionality to call something local. So, for example, is there anybody who has already reached home and you are away from the city like Dhaka? Anybody in our class who has already reached home and you are joining from there? Then
Yes,
I
sir.
can make the example. Who?
Yes, sir. I'm in Chittagong now.
You are in Chittagong.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, for you, I think Mr. Azman Raza is talking, connecting from Chittagong. Isn't that Mr. Azman?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for you, the question is that now if you would order on Foodpanda from Chittagong and if you would order it from Dhaka, would you get the same options on your apps or on your Foodpanda platform? You're
No, sir.
ordering from Chittagong and ordering from Dhaka. Does it give you the same options on Foodpanda?
No, sir. The restaurant will
Okay,
change.
so what is the story behind it? I mean, why you don't get the same options when you are using the same apps?
Uh, I don't know.
No, no, but I mean, you have to
Because
just
of the availability of the restaurants.
and how do they understand where are you available now?
They track his location.
Exactly,
Then
exactly, exactly. They track your location, and when an e-commerce is running its operation based on targeting or tracking your location, and then targeting the options based on where you stand or where you are available, then we call it as a local e-commerce. Here we call it local e-commerce because it is using a particular technology to track your location. So the food delivery is a famous example for this, or the quick example. Ride sharing is another example. But there can be another reason for which we can call something local e-commerce. For example, I mean, if you order, I can give you my story. So when I came back to Bangladesh in 2015, I went to my neighborhood Pizza Hut restaurant, and at the time I was staying in it was Sector 3. So I went to that restaurant and said that okay, some days I do not want to come to your place and take away the pizza. So can you please deliver it to my home? And remember, 11 years back. And they said that yeah, we are ready to deliver your home if you are within 1 kilometer radius. And I said that you have a good news. I'm within 500 meters. Now, talking about that Pizza Hut example. So, I mean, what is their limit to deliver, to do the home delivery? It is 1 kilometer radius, isn't it?
Yes,
And
sir.
do you know that the same actually rule applies to Domino's and other restaurants? Do you know that?
yes, sir.
And we call them as local e-commerce not because they are doing location targeting or local, your location tracking. It is because that they, in their operation, they follow a local boundary. So basically, we tell them local e-commerce because of their, local boundary rules or local boundary limits. But when we talk about local e-commerce for online food delivery or ride sharing, that is not because the local, boundary limit. It is about rather the location tracking technology they use. Is that clear to you that you can call local e-commerce for different reasons? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now we move on to the other way of categorizing them. So what is the other way? Have you seen these shops somewhere? Now
Yes,
these
sir.
shops, are they available online or offline?
Offline.
Offline. So these shops, when we see them, they're only available offline. Mind it. And then now this shop, are they only available online and or offline?
Both,
Or
sir.
both.
And remember this. This is another option. And then we have actually different dimensions or different way to categorize e-commerce based on how do they use the channel. Now, for rockumari.com and chowder.com, where do you go to actually visit the store? Do you have a store to visit for
No, sir.
rockumari and chowder? And that's why we call them pure click. That means they are only available online. Sometimes in America, they call them as virtual merchant. Or some people, they just simply call them click only. That means they are only available online, nothing else. But then for Shopno, you have already told that you can visit the store or you can browse the online store. And that's why we call them as brick and click. Brick stands for the physical store and click stands for the online store. And because they're using all channels possible, that's why we also call them as omni-channel. Now, you understand that some shops, they have only physical store. They don't have any online window. Like I've shared the example of my neighborhood grocery store, like Prince Bazaar, or even, the local grocer. So these people are basically brick and mortar. Now, in Western countries, sometimes they actually use these names rather than saying physical store. So they can say we want to turn the brick and mortar into brick and click. So now you will not be surprised because you know that what do you mean by it. Some people even they don't say brick and click. They say we want to create an omni-channel store. Then you know that by that they mean that they want to use all options to reach the customer, physical store and also the online store. Now, for our trimester, we will use some categories for our class discussions, for our projects. Now, you see that, online retailing or retail tech, that is basically our running projects. We have been doing it in the last 2 trimesters. So this trimester, we are also continuing with that because our class and previous students, everybody is already quite aware and familiar with this kind of project requirement. So since it is the easiest one for you to execute, so we keep it on the top and also the most common for everybody. But for the other priorities, it's not compulsory or it's not. If you would like to take them as a project, you can consult with us and then you can start working on them. EdTech and health tech. Some are actually good for your career orientation, like career portal, news portal, fintech, travel tech. Some are even lifestyle products. So we will try to use those examples in our trimester discussion, and inshallah, over time we will get to explore more and more companies from there. Here in edtech category, I'm giving you an example that globally we have some famous edtech brands like Coursera, edX, Udemy, Udacity, Khan Academy. But then Bangladesh-wise, we basically have some examples like Emergency School, Shiko, Coders Trust, Ustad. So these kind of examples are there. Now, if we browse through our textbook, then we will see that in the last few years, the e-commerce business has evolved. So if I show you a Bangladesh context, that in 2022-23, in Bangladesh, we had a projection that by 2026, Bangladesh would have a 12 to $13 billion e-commerce market. So basically, it is written in crore taka. So, and you know that in conversion, like 12,000 crore taka means $1 billion. So if you think about 149,000 plus crore taka, 1,000 crore taka. That means actually about that more than $12 billion amount. That is supposed to be our market size by now. But if you go back, actually this data is a projection from year 22-23. But if you go back now and check that what is the current standard or market size of Bangladesh, you get the idea that whether Bangladesh has grown as expected, or we have grown more than that or less than that. Now, if you consider the global market, you see something interesting. Actually, the B2B market, where the organizations are dealing with another organizations, and that market is actually 80% of the total global e-commerce market. And all other markets, local e-commerce, social e-commerce, mobile e-commerce, C2C, everything else actually constitutes or covers only 20% of the market. And what do you think? B2B e-commerce, is that a surface web type or the deep web type?
Sir, surface web type.
Surface.
Come on, B2B is not a surface web type. That's a deep web type. So, so there we know that because the organizations, for example, when Rockmary is doing business with UIU, do you think that actually they, for their networking, for their the websites or the connectivity they establish, is it also accessible to the public or only these two organizations?
Sir, just to organizations.
Exactly. That's why they actually follow some private, networks, connectivity networks, not the public, websites or apps. So that's why mostly the global business is running mostly on deep webs rather than surface web. Surface web only is 20% of the total trade that we see. Now, regarding e-commerce, we see that this is actually what we can realize after this discussion so far, that there is no one correct way to categorize. I mean, e-commerce. You can categorize, but it depends on how do you want to define it. Sometimes even you can make your own category by giving a special name to one platform that you are interested in. But there is another special category in e-commerce. It is called e-commerce enablers. Which companies are called e-commerce enablers? In table 2.5, you will see that all these companies with different services like hardware service, software service, cloud providers, even site design providers, domain name providers, payment system providers. They are all companies who are doing e-commerce, but they're doing e-commerce for a special purpose. They are making e-commerce platforms possible. They are making e-commerce platforms functional to actually work successfully and smartly as an interface between the customer and the company, or you can say between the sellers and buyers. And for this reason, we have given a new name to these types of companies, and that name is, what is the name for this
Commerce
category?
enablers.
E-commerce enablers. That means they make e-commerce possible. So you see that already we have given a new category name based on the companies. And now interesting is we have to find out these kind of categories in Bangladesh context. Even you can reproduce this table and ask your own AI that can you make a list in Bangladesh context, that which companies will be I can consider in Bangladesh context. Then you will find out an interesting list. Now in your textbook you will find out also this table, and this table talks about the e-commerce types, which is basically B2C type. So here we talk about the B2C types of e-commerce, which is uh, 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 operating. But this is an American example. So in American context, the electronic retailers, rather than calling them electronic retailers or e-retailers, they call them as e-tailers. E-tailers means basically electronic retailers, or you can say online retailers. So they give them a name called e-tailers. Now, under that e-tailers category, do you remember we talked about virtual merchants? So what is virtual merchant again?
Sir, click only business.
Exactly. Click only, or you can say pure click. But then we can have also brick and click. So for brick and click, they have talked about Walmart and Zara. In Bangladesh context, what can we include as an example? Brick and click.
So shop no Unimart.
Exactly. So this is how actually we should understand this table and then convert it or contextualize it in Bangladesh context. Now let's see uh, actually basically this is what I have summarized in 7 categories, that we have retailers, we have community providers, content providers, portal service providers, and then I've explained it already. In the previous example and explanations, I've already shared with you. So, this is what e-commerce types are. And then we have another special category called B2B business models. Interestingly, in Bangladesh context, our business environment is not so rich, and we have not such a good category of B2B business models, but we have a few of them. Like for example, ShopUp. This is one of the Bangladeshi company which tries to support local businesses and give them the B2B supports. Even some telecommunication companies like Banglalink, even for Sheba XYZ, they have a business window. Even I told you about Rockamari, that in case of Rockamari, they have also a corporate service. There they actually give B2B offers. So this is actually all about our e-commerce types and categories. Now, so far, we have discussed from chapter 1, page number from 52 to 58, and from chapter 2, page number 102 to 114. So any query from you so far what we have discussed? Any query? Just don't tell me that you haven't heard anything from me so far. My microphone was muted or so. Everything okay, I guess, so far?
Yes, sir. All okay.
Sir, can you tell the page number
Mashallah.
again?
Sorry?
Page number again?
I guess I'm sharing the screen. Can you see it on the
Yes,
screen?
sir.
It's on the screen. Page number 52 to 58, and then page number 102 to 114 on chapter 2. Even I have actually shared the chapters with you as well. If you go to the chapters that I have shared with you, I guess it's there. I mean, if you go to the folder called knowledge, there if you go to the PDF file where it calls the types of e-commerce, you will see that I have put all chapters into a merged file, and you get all pages in one place. So I mean, you can't miss it. It is all in one place. Okay. So our challenge is to now actually to make these examples and explanations in Bangladesh context. So when we prepare for the exam, quiz or midterm, we basically make sure that we actually get all these explanations and examples we using companies that are relevant for Bangladesh, not relevant for a USA company, rather somebody who is planning to start a business in Bangladesh. Did I make it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we will see that what we can discuss about the next topic, and the next topic is about the brief history of e-commerce. So for the brief history of e-commerce, in your textbook you will see that we have shared the textbook pages. It's basically 7 pages, starting from page number 59 to page number 68. So 59 to 68, almost 9 pages. But for that, if you go to the lecture slide, okay, I will actually share one more thing with you. If you go to the brief history of e-commerce here, you will see that I have already tried to contextualize it in Bangladesh context. So in Bangladesh context and American context, it's not the same type of history. So what is in American history? In American history, you will see that the e-commerce basically it started since the beginning of the 1960s. So if you see the timeline, can you see that the time started? It started actually internet started from 1960s, but e-commerce started in 95 2000s. Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's interesting, because I usually in my other classes or other trimester I used to start with the with the discussion of internet, but okay, let's make the discussion rather shorter. So basically, in case of internet, the story starts because internet is the main technology behind e-commerce. So that started in 1960s, but e-commerce started in mid 90s. So interestingly, in Bangladesh, e-commerce started right within 3-4 years of the global, from the global phenomenon. So globally, when e-commerce started in Bangladesh, it started within 3-4 years of that timeline. So that is interesting for us because we are not that far behind the global trend. So what happened in Bangladesh context? Initially, in Bangladesh context, we see that we have some companies who tried with. So in Bangladesh, like you can see that 95 to 2000. Let me go to the Bangladeshi time. Then I think I can give you a. Okay, yeah, here you see. So you see that yes, they are giving you this Bangladesh. No, I guess I am actually creating another document. So let me go straight to the slide and then I share with you. So e-commerce, a brief history.
স্যার বুঝতে পারলাম না, ওটা নেটওয়ার্কের সমস্যা ছিল স্যার।
Okay, I'm repeating the discussion again. So don't worry, you haven't missed anything because I'm repeating it because it seems like that. Okay, here we are. So basically, this slide is the main slide. If you want to compare between what was happening in the global trend and then what was happening in Bangladesh. In global trend, e-commerce started in the beginning of 95s, in 1995s, and then it started growing. Initially, there was a lot of hype. Hype means, everybody was thinking that e-commerce will change the world, online business will change the world. So everybody was investing there. And then it was a bubble bust. And we call it as dot-com bubble. So dot-com became a bubble. Everybody was hyping on it, investing too much money, but at some point it busted. So there was huge crash in the financial market, and the crash was a severe crisis. People lost hope in e-business, but then those businesses which came with a solid idea, they actually continued, and this is the area called consolidation. So they started regrouping, organizing, and really going with the model that can work. So later, what happened that during this time, social media came, Facebook came, YouTube came, all these things. Even later, smartphone came. So after 2007, we saw a new rush, new actually energy into e-commerce market, and the e-commerce market started growing, and no looking back. But interestingly, for Bangladesh, initially 95 2000s, it was like some tech savvy, young guy who was trying to do some business. Interestingly, from that generation, you have at least one company which you all know till now. Can you tell me which company which started like in 95, 96 and is still a prominent name in the e-business category in Bangladesh? Any idea? If somebody can tell me, I really appreciate that you actually have some sense of history in Bangladesh context.
স্যার আজকের
Okay,
ডিল
give me.
ছিল একটা।
Yeah, you are very close, but it's not Ajke Deal. Ajke Deal came much later. But the parent company of Ajke Deal, any idea which company is actually the parent company of Ajke Deal?
নো স্যার।
That is actually bdjobs.com. So Mr. Fahim Mashoor, the founder of bdjobs.com, he came up with this idea, but Ajke Deal is a much later phenomenon, like at least 10, 15 years after the bdjobs.com. So BD Jobs was a company that started, almost same time when e-commerce started in Bangladesh, and then until 2012-13, e-commerce was creeping. It was not even working. Trying to survive. Many companies lost their way. I remember in 2000s when I was doing my university assignment on, retailing and e-commerce businesses. I had 25 companies to explore. But when 2015-16, when I started teaching this course, coming back to Bangladesh, none of these companies are available. I mean, in 2015-16, because they lost the, steam, or they lost their, motivation after struggling for so many years. And then one of, as I will cut the story short. So, but the challenge for you is that to find out that storyline. So how can you get the storyline? If anybody can get the storyline from any sources, you get the bonus. I know the source because I've been actually university students since in 2095 96. So we have seen it happening in front of our eyes. But in our class, this is the bonus task that we want to see that who can actually take that history in the document that can tell actually what was happening in Bangladesh in the beginning of the e-commerce and how we have evolved and progressed to reach the current stage. So this is actually a challenge. For global, we know the trend line, but for Bangladesh, we have to write it in document. Is that clear to you that what is the challenge for us? And believe me, your AI cannot give a good service for there. You have to really drill down. Yes, you can take help of AI. Nobody is stopping you there, but don't count on it. Validate it, recheck, verify it from those who have been from that time. That is that a correct statement, or the reality was different. And you have your uncles, your parents who are from that time, and they can really help you a lot. So this is what we are actually challenging for writing a brief history of e-commerce. For global context, it is written in your textbook. For Bangladesh context, we have to prepare it for our class. And I guess you are in a, you will, some of you will actually surprise us with a nice finding, inshallah. Now, the last topic for discussion is actually, just a short topic, 1 or 2 pages discussion. This is about that what is the key theme or for any e-commerce or e-business when we think about the feasibility or the possibility of doing business, what is the dimension we should think in, or in how many dimensions we should test our business model. So we say that we should test it in 3 dimensions: in technology dimension, in business dimension, and in societal dimension. So technology dimension, by technology dimension, we mean that we have to initially see that whether this idea can be possible to implement. So technologically in Bangladesh, do we have the infrastructure? Do we have the technology to make this idea implementing possible? Now, think about uh, think about uh, a high definition reality game in Bangladesh. Now think about the next World Cup is coming. Now, do you think that in Bangladesh, if you want to open a multiplayer high definition FIFA apps to play in a large scale, about rural people, urban people, everybody is joining the game and making a billion taka, 100 crore taka market for, just because that World Cup become a craze in Bangladesh. You want to capture it by, by launching a high definition multiplayer game. Is it possible in case of the internet infrastructure of Bangladesh?
No, sir.
So you got the idea that it is a very nice idea. Maybe it is a money-making idea, possible money-making, but it is not possible. So that's why we start with the technology first, because if it is not possible implementation-wise, then what is the point of thinking further? But if it is technological possible, now we have to think about the business behind it. Is it really making the profit for me? Now, for profit, what do you think that all businesses now? Have you heard about Shohos.com? That there was a company called Shohos in ride sharing or other places.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Have you heard? But did they make money?
No, sir.
Oh bhai,
Yes, sir. শুনেছি।
but did they make money? What do you think? From their performance, what do you think? Did they really make money?
Sir, I don't think they made money.
Now, does it mean that ride sharing cannot make money in Bangladesh?
No, sir.
So do you understand that there, now we take the next challenge that we know that ride sharing is possible in Bangladesh, but how do I make money? Interestingly, if you go and drill down the business model of Ovai, they have invested so much in purchasing cars and financing carpool, which was completely different idea than what is Uber and Pathao doing. So they have invested so much in purchasing car, training drivers, that they have bleeded all money behind that thing and forgot that the real business in making a very nice and working platform. So as I told you that they lost the business model essence. But now think about some games in Bangladesh or certain platform, which is very profitable or maybe very successful, but it is working as a dark web. Actually, the society is not ready to accept it or validate it. Can you tell me? For example, betting sites. What do you think? Are they possible in Bangladesh technologically? Betting sites. Do you know betting sites?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So are they
Betting
possible
site.
to do in Bangladesh? Betting sites, that in cricket, IPL, people use betting sites. So is it possible in Bangladesh to launch the site
No, sir.
No, sir.
technologically, sir, technologically? Think about it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir,
Technologically, it is
possible.
possible.
And is
Technologically
it
possible, sir.
profitable? Is it profitable?
Yes, it is profitable.
Yes, sir.
But
100%,
is
sir.
it sustainable? Is it sustainable with social acceptance?
No, sir.
So that's where we have to actually think about if we really want long-term sustainable success, then we have to think in three dimensions: the possibility with technology, the profitability with the business model, and the sustainability with social approval and social acceptance. This is where we finish chapter 1, and we have already covered chapter 2, to some extent. Then this is where I want to stop today here. And I guess we have got the concepts here in one place. So right now I want you to actually, if you have any query, now you can actually share with me that whatever you want to ask me, because for 1 or 2 minutes we take your queries and then we go for attendance call. Yes.
Sir, Obhai is not making money, but how are
Hi,
they still operating?
they are operating because this is actually financed by one of the largest business group in Bangladesh. I mean,
Yes,
if
sir.
you think about the funding of Pathao, it is peanuts in front of MGH Group or the capacity of Obhai Group. But if you are a billionaire and you want to blow your money or squander your money, throw your money away, who is going to stop you? But you actually what would I say, that the magic, or you can say the wonder of the business model is that just because you have money does not give you the guarantee that you can make more money if you do not follow the right business model. So that's where actually the geniuses or the intelligent people, they have the hope that here in e-business or e-commerce or as an entrepreneur, you really have to be correct with your business model to really make the next success. Did I get it right?
Yes, sir.
But since they have a lot of money to still keep their presence in the market, that's why they are keeping it. And they have also done some adjustment in the business model. And do you know that in actually CNG categories, I guess they still have some presence.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I will not say that just because they are here for, they are still present for stupid reasons. They may have some reasons, but the group could have done much better than this. But they missed it because of following a wrong business model. Okay, any more? It's not necessary that you share your questions only. You can even sometimes share your own thoughts, and we also appreciate that.
স্যার হচ্ছে একটু আগে বলেছিলেন স্যার ইউআইইউ আর রকমারি যে বিজনেস মডেলটা স্যার সেটা ডিপ ওয়েবে করে মানে এটা স্যার সারফেস ওয়েবে না কেন মানে তো স্যার বিজনেস টু
What
বিজনেস
do you think? Whatever UIU and Rockamarie is doing, do they really want any public to actually find a website that here Rockamarie and UIU is doing business? Is it actually serving any purpose for them? What do you think?
নো স্যার
If you are running, for example, a Square company and you are doing business with